In this tutorial we will create a simple entity, put it in a world and make it move using the move by method. You can download the Java project from my GitHub repository and import it to Eclipse, or you can use an empty template. I suggest using a different project for each lesson, meaning you will need to create a new project for each lesson. And following along, you can either use an empty template or use the lesson project and import it. Okay, this is how the end project of this lesson will look like. The first thing I did was to create two packages, one for the entity classes and the other for the game world classes, called screens, as in game screens. Now, in the ymain class, the only thing that I have changed is the first yworld from the default yworld to game world. Menu is the first state to run, and I wanted the game world to run first, so I put it instead of the first instance of yworld. After that, I created game world class inside of screen package. Game world extends yworld. In its constructor, we pass the game state to the superclass or the parent class, depending on how you like to call it. We did it this using a super method. Then I overwrited yworld init method. The only thing I did there was to create an extended entity instance at position 50 pixels on the x-axis and 50 pixels on the y-axis, and with a speed of 0.02. For the graphic, I used bluebox.png that is placed in the res folder, as I explained in the last lesson. Res hold all of our game's graphic and sound resources. After that, I created extended entity class that extends yentity class. Now we will open extended entity class from the entity package. All I did here was to extended entity from yentity class, and I passed all of the information that yentity constructor requires: the x and y position of the entity, the speed, and the entity graphics, image or sprite map. I will cover sprite maps in future tutorial. The information is passed to the parent class using the super method. Finally, we extend the update method once. Once you add an entity to the world using add method, like we did in game world init method, update runs every time the game loop runs. The game loop runs the current world's update method that loops and runs all the update methods of the entities added to that world. Move by is simple. It moves the entity on the x-axis by the extended entity speed, and 0 on the x-axis, on the y-axis. If you want, you can try creating more extended entities with different speeds and x-y positions. In the next lesson, we will work with user input.